I hit the play button, or the record button rather. Talon's been sitting there the entire time. Hit the button, she lays down. Hey everybody, Michael, Shelley, and well, there's Talon down there in the dirt. Well, sand, beach sand. Coming to you from the beautiful Gulf Coast of Mississippi. Hear the seagulls in the background, see the water. It's a beautiful 75-degree day here, the last day of February. We've already made it through February, and we're going to talk today about how to find a good campground, or what do we do. We get a lot of questions about campgrounds. Obviously, being full-time RVers, that's where we live, in campgrounds. And some of our most popular videos are the campground reviews that we do. And we tailor those reviews to a lot of the questions that we get asked, either in the comments those videos or people that reach out to us through other social media platforms. Talon's digging a hole. Okay, so this is what we do when we are selecting a campground. First, we pick a location, obviously, because if we're going to be here in Gulfport, we don't want to stay at a campground in Montgomery, Alabama, because that's about 4 hours away. So we narrowed down the location, and first of all, we use RV Trip Wizard for all of our route planning needs. I mean, even down to the gas stations we stop at, we use RV Trip Wizard. I'll have a link in the description below to RV Trip Wizard. We don't have an affiliate relationship with them, so we don't make any money off of them, but they're still a great company with a great product that's well worth, I think it's $49 a year. We get on RV Trip Wizard and we start looking for campgrounds in the general area where we want to be. And the first thing I look at once we start looking at campgrounds in certain areas is the price. Because if the price is more than I want to pay, none of the other stuff matters. So I always look at price first. So once I look at price, and RV Trip Wizard helps you out with that too, because when you click on the campground, it'll show you how much people have been paying for that campground recently, and plus also gives you reviews. So you can check both out in one spot. And then I look for the reviews, and more importantly than the reviews, wait till the plane passes. No. And more importantly than the reviews are YouTube videos. As the plane flies over. This is nowhere near as annoying as the plane that was flying over the Florida RV show.
It's a helicopter.
Constantly.
It's a helicopter.
Okay, sounded like a plane, but here. Okay. It's a hoptocopter. So
then we look for reviews.
We start looking at videos, and I'll be real honest. We do not 100% go by the video reviews we see either, because if we do, well, we would have never stayed at Flagler Beach, the 1,000 Trails at Flagler Beach, because it had tons of negative reviews. But we went off the advice of some friends who went there literally just a few days before we did. And we went there, and it was a nice place. Yep. I don't even understand the reason for the negative reviews. So you got to be careful when you're watching reviews, especially reviews that are full of negative information, because what that person's expectations were is probably different from yours, and that person could be mad because they had a noisy neighbor. Well, odds are that neighbor is not there by the time you get there. So, you know, if somebody complains that they had a noisy neighbor the whole time, or they were doing construction the whole time they were there, you know, and the video's 3 years old, odds are the construction's done, the neighbors moved on. So take it all in context. So if we find a campground we like and it has a good price, good reviews, then we start looking at the amenities. Now the biggest ones we really care about, honestly, is a pool. Shelley likes to go swim in a pool. So
hot tub pool. Yeah,
hot tub pool, jacuzzi, whatever. And obviously with it being COVID season, not a lot of those are open depending on what state you're in, and those that are have restrictions. So we check that out as well.
And dog parks for Talon.
Yeah, dog parks for Talon is the biggest one, but since she's a service dog and she goes everywhere with us, it's really not critical that we have a dog park in the campground, because we don't really stay in the campground a whole lot unless it's bad weather.
Well, we do look for grass, though, to be near
that is
our
the biggest
RV.
one. We do look for pet walking areas near our RV, because we have stayed at some RV parks where I don't even know where the grass was. It was so far away.
And then I don't take her to the bathroom, especially at night when
Yeah.
it's way far away.
So we haven't got her trained yet to use the RV toilet. So
Next year,
Maybe.
that's our goal.
So once we get through, you know, the amenities piece, again, this is a layer. We're just peeling the layers back, and we start at the ones that are really the make or break. It's got to be in the right area for us, and it's got to be at the right price. Now, if it's a really ridiculous price, I may look at the reviews, I may look at the amenities to see, hey, well, maybe it's worth it. You know, we haven't stayed at a campground that had this particular amenity in a long time and would be really nice. So we might do that for a short period of time.
Right.
And that's really the deciding factor on when it comes to price too, is how long are we planning on staying there. If we're just spending the night and it's pretty pricey, we probably wouldn't stay, because again, if you're only spending a night, the amenities really don't mean anything. The overall how well maintained it is may not make a big difference. If you're just spending the night like you're on a long trip somewhere, really for us, then the biggest concern would be full hookups, or at least water and electric, and that's all we care about, along with price. So, but if we're going to be staying for a week or more, I don't want to pay $80 a night for just a place in the mud that doesn't even have sewer.
Right.
You know, I'd rather pay $30 for full hookups on a concrete level pad. And the levelness of these sites is a big deal too, because a lot of places we go, for whatever reason, even though the land around is flat, it seems like they put the campground on the only non-flat part of the entire area or in the entire state. So we'll call and ask how level the sites are. And again, that's subjective apparently, because we've had a lot of people say, oh, they're pretty level, no problem at all. And we get there and, you know, I need to raise on one side of our Class A RV up 5 or 6 inches to even get it close to being level. That's not close to being level, you know, a site. Just FYI to all the campground owners out there. 1 or 2 inches off of level, okay, now we can have a conversation. You're 4, 5, 6 inches off level, then you're not even near level. Don't even talk to me. What's next?
The well-maintained.
Yeah, the well-maintained, and you know, you really can't get that from reviews and videos unless they're current. Now, again, using RV Trip Wizard, look in the review section, most of them are current. And I mean, it just depends on the location, just like anything else, because people have to leave a review. You can also check Google, Google reviews, Facebook. Yeah, there's a lot of Facebook groups for campground reviews. Little pro tip here for anything really when it comes to Facebook. If you have a question about you're looking for a certain campground in a certain area, use the search feature in that group first. There's a little microphone, little magnifying glass at the top of the page or top of the app if you're using your phone. Just click on that. Type in the city you're looking for. Type in this name if you're asking for about a specific campground. Somebody may have already written a review on it, and you'll find it immediately versus having to make the comment and then have 50 other people say, yeah, I'd like to know that too, and then somebody else will say, well, I grew up in that area. You don't get an answer to your question. So use the search feature. It's very helpful. And lastly, call the campground. Hey, you guys got any construction going on anywhere in your campground or around it? You know, because sometimes they could be doing road construction like right on the other side of the fence from the campground, and they're doing it all night long, and you're parked right next to it.
Making sure that you have the right amps. You know, we have had that happen where we got somewhere and they told us we had 50 amps, and when we got there, they were like, oh, you needed 50? We didn't know that. And it's like, oh, yes, you did. But that's okay. Because we called the night before or whatever. You know,
yeah,
we learned our lesson one time.
We learned our lesson one time, and that was actually at 1,000 Trails Park. And
Yep.
I had requested a 50 amp service, and we pulled in there and we parked, and I get out to plug in, and I have a 30 amp plug only to plug in our 50 amp rig. And when I asked the guy, he's like, oh, we don't even have any 50 amp service here, which was kind of not true. They have a
like
few.
5 spots.
They have like 5 out of the 200 spots were 50 amps. So he got us moved, so it's fine. But it's always best to call in, especially for any campground memberships like Thousand Trails or RPI or any of these other ones where you're paying a greatly reduced rate or you're not paying anything at all per night, is to call and verify, is the site big enough for your RV, and also does it have the right power connections for your RV.
Because there's nothing worse than arriving and finding out that you have to move somewhere else because what they told you was incorrect. So again, that kind of leads us a little bit off track here, just of saying that, you know, we like to travel during the daytime. We like to travel only a few hours up the road, and we like to verify things ahead of time so that there are no surprises when we roll into the park. Now, does it mean that we won't get surprises? Nope, we still got surprises here and there, but you know, always have that backup plan. Find another campground in your back pocket that you can call should you arrive at your destination and it not be as described, or you know, the site they had for you is unavailable. So
yeah, those are all really great points. We have been burned a few times by showing up either past to the time the office closed, or even worse, we've shown up after dark in some places where we couldn't even put our slides out. We were so unlevel and not able to get anywhere near level. So arrive during the daylight hours, and if at all possible while the office is still open, just in case you run into an issue.
Now, a lot of people like to drive at night, and that's okay, but just know that there'll be risks involved with that.
Yep, that's true. You can always boondock somewhere the night before and then just roll nearby and roll into the RV park the next day. I know a lot of people that do that.
Right.
So what are some of your top things that you look for when you're trying to find an RV park? What's your priority list on how you do it?
Pro tips. We need some
pro tips. Yeah.
Add your pro tips.
Yeah, we want to hear what you guys think about how we go about it, what your process is. 'Cause I'm hoping somebody's got a better process than we do, so I can borrow their
Sometimes
ideas.
It's painstakingly tedious, but it's well worth it in the end, not to be frazzled and then try to be setting up. So
It's almost better to go to some places where you only have one or two campground options,
right,
than it is like if you go to Myrtle Beach and there's like 10, 15 campground options.
right.
But so we'd love to hear what your thought process is when it comes to picking RV parks. Any pro tips you have, any bad stories you had, bad experiences or good experiences you've had unexpectedly with RV parks, because, and I know we've had a few, and you've seen a lot of them on these videos we've been making for the past year and a half. Wow.
Videos for a year and a half? Not quite.
Not quite. We're getting there.
A year and a couple months.
Okay, year and 3 months. That's almost a year and a half. In dog years.
That's right.
In dog years.
In talon years.
That's right. So, as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. We're looking forward to reading your comments and interacting with you as you watch this video and help us become better RVers. Hopefully, we can help you become better RVers as well.
And as you look for your next campground, make your next journey an epic adventure.
Bye.
Bye.